Hi guys, it has been a couple of weeks since I've done a video. I got a little bit behind with editing and have been very busy. But as you can probably see, I've got a little bit further along with my van build, so let's rewind for a moment and I'll show you how I got to here. Hi, I'm Kiki, and after a year living in my Blingo Silver, roaming around Scotland, I've bought a bigger van. Join me as I figure out how to turn this Renault Traffic van into my new home. Insulating vans seems to be something that causes just a lot of debate online, which is fun when you're trying to figure out what to do with your own one and trying to find out what other people have done, and everyone does something different. I'm just going to go with what I've decided to do and see what happens, because who knows. So I have a mixture of things. I have some sheep's wool insulation here, which I've just bought new. This is supposed to be a really good natural product. I thought I'd give it a try. I haven't used it before. And then I have some recycled plastic insulation. This is all in bits and pieces because it's left over from when I was doing the headlining and inside the rear boot panel on silver. So I have all these little bits which are actually really helpful because it means I can just stuff them straight into spaces, and I've struggled to do all the cutting before. The sheep's wool cuts really easily. I've just got a huge pair of scissors and it just cuts really well. The recycled plastic I find is more difficult. You end up kind of ripping it, it just ends up a mess. So it's handy that some of it's already cut, but I do have some more than I thought I had left over actually. So I've probably got more insulation than I need, which is good. And then I also do have a roll of this stuff, which I know everyone loves decorating the inside of vans to look like spaceships. So I obviously had to buy some. I'm going to want to use some of this anyway to do some rear window coverings, which I'm going to try and make myself once everything else is done. But I was also debating on whether to try and do a vapour barrier, or even just to use some of this to hold some of the other insulation in. I'm kind of in two minds about vapour barriers because I don't see how I'm ever going to get any of them actually sealed, and they only work if they're completely sealed. So to me, I'd rather let things ventilate a bit. I have lived in a very small space for quite a long time with minimal proper insulation, and I've done okay. Like, I've spent a lot of time having to like ventilate and keep it clean and stuff, but I've managed it. So I feel like in a bigger space, I mostly cook outside, it's just me, I haven't got pets and partners and stuff breathing, so I'm maybe gonna attempt it without a vapour barrier and see what happens. The recycled plastic insulation doesn't really hold on to water, so that's supposed to work really well. The sheep's wool can absorb moisture, but then it's supposed to release it and kind of manage it itself. So who knows what's going to happen, but that's what I'm going to go with, and we'll see how it works. I wanted to show you guys a little bit of why I'm not trying to do a vapour barrier. So as an example is my wonderful side sections. There are holes pretty much everywhere. There are, when I was stuffing insulation in and up here, this all joins up to this. It's obviously then got holes everywhere, and then through into the top section and across into this rear pillar here. And there is no way that I can fill every hole that it might connect with. It comes out into this section here as well, and that is all joined up, and there's just no way that I would fill all of that. It's only worth doing a vapour barrier if you're actually going to properly seal it, and with all the holes in my van that are supposed to be there, I just don't see how that's going to happen. And then I think it's better, if you can't seal it properly, just to let it breathe more rather than end up with a few little gaps where it's more likely to maybe get damp but then not really ventilate. So I'm going with the let it ventilate option and see what happens. So I thought I would give you a tour of some of the tools I've been using. I have not learned the proper names of tools. I call them what makes sense to me. I just have learned how to use them. So join me on an interesting tour of Steve's workshop. I very much like this saw here, and I call this saw the big round one because it's big and round and it cuts very well. It's not set up to cut right now, but it cuts nice straight lines a lot quicker than I do with a hand saw, and a lot straighter too. This saw is called the big hand munching saw because it will munch fingers if you're not careful, which I have so far avoided. But it's really great because you can just set this up for the distance you want and then cut long thin strips and they come out just right. If you're not a DIY person or a woodworking person, then yeah, that will be amazing to you as it is to me, or just puzzling, who knows. But the key thing is that big red off button once you're finished cutting, so that you don't chomp your fingers. And I haven't used this yet, so I haven't named it. I'll let you know if I come up with a good name for it. Taking out the bulkhead left all of these slightly gnarly metal bits sticking out. I'm not going to try and name them because I'll give them the wrong name. So it's left a load of these sticking out, which are all over the place. And a couple in the ceiling as well. So I have been let loose with this thing. And I'm going to try and get them off. Steve has done one to show me how it works. And that's a lot more flush now, and will get hidden behind ply anyway. So wish me luck. I'm having one of those moments where the thing I was trying to work on, I just can't get my head around how to get it to work, basically. I'm just looking at it now going, nah, I just need to stop thinking about it. So I've decided to work on something else for a little while, which is another fiddly thing. This is some carpet stuff, and there's some pillars that I want to cover in that. I'm not entirely sure how to do that either. When I've worked with this stuff before, it's always been sticky backed, so it's going to be a little bit interesting, I think, getting it cut and up, but I'm going to try and see what happens. It is so windy today. I think this is going to be an inside cutting job because I think my template is just going to fly it away if I try and do it outside. So I'm headed in to do that. So slightly concerningly, the spray can that came with my carpet, it came with these, and very concerningly, not only obviously watch what you breathe in, but I can't get it to focus. It says suspected of causing cancer, and they're still allowed to sell it. It's crazy. I'm not sure I'm going to be using this. The crazy spray kind of freaked me out, so I decided to use some double-sided tape instead, which probably added to the amount of time it took me to do the areas I wanted to carpet. And when I ran out of tape and bought a different one, it wouldn't stick properly, so I did end up resorting to using a little of the spray to finish the last of the top sections. I wore a mask and ventilated the van whilst doing it. I do miss the carpet that used to come with an adhesive backing. This is the first bit of carpety stuff that I have used. If you've watched some of my other videos, you may have heard me complaining about carpet more than once. Pretty much any form of carpet, I haven't enjoyed it in flats. Definitely haven't enjoyed it in silver. Part of that is because it's on the floor and it just gets everything in it. But I'm doing my best to avoid carpet wherever possible. It just doesn't really work for me. I hate how much time it takes to clean it. But there are some areas that I'm not really sure what else to do with. So I've bought some in a very similar colour, kind of as close as I could get to the body colour so that it's not quite as like woe carpet, and also trying to avoid dark colours so that when I'm in here, like, it feels lovely and light with all the windows at this time of the year, but when I'm in during the winter and, you know, blinds and curtains and stuff up, it will just feel nicer to not be too dark. So I've gone with this. There's a little gap there that I need to cut out, but I'm not going to do it until I work out what I'm doing with the inside of that section. I'm going to do this one on the other side now. And then also try the template for the back section. I look like this at it because I'm like, not quite sure how I'm going to do that. I have not been filming very much this week for a number of reasons. I hit a point when I was trying to work on my walls where I just couldn't be bothered to try and film. I have so much footage that I'm not sure when I'm going to get to editing it all. So just kind of stopped filming, and then the last couple of days have been kind of wet, which is not conducive to trying to figure out stuff in a van when you need the doors open to figure it out. Yeah, so it's been a bit fun. I am not sure what order everything's going to go into video either, so I don't know if this will make sense, but tomorrow I'm going down to England. I'm currently sat on a floor where there's going to hopefully be a bed. Steve has kindly been working on my bed as I got a bit swamped with everything else and super drained at the end of last week and just had to take a day to just sleep basically and lie about watching stuff. Very, very grateful to Steve for building me what is hopefully going to be a bed tomorrow. My mattress is hopefully coming tomorrow as well. Otherwise it's going to be very interesting, and I'm going to be away at least a week and a half, I think. So I'm trying to get my walls in before that, and they have been super fiddly. I have made them out of this the 3.6mm ply so that they're really thin and a little bit flexible to try and fit them in around awkward gaps, but I'll take a bit of video to show you the shape of them. They have been interesting. I was very proud of my jigsaw use to get them cut out, but then the fine tuning I've been sanding by hand because it's so thin and I'm sanding like round the edge of it, and it's just taking ages. And when it was wet I couldn't do it because I couldn't come back and forth to the van to keep kind of putting it in to see whether it fits yet or not. So these I am just trying to finish this morning. I think it's already after 12, so it's not really morning anymore. Trying to finish these so that I can get a coat of paint on them because I'm going to be painting them. It's amazing, like somebody just, the postwoman that was dropping something off asked me a question about it because I was out here working when she was bringing me actually the first step of my electrical system, which is very exciting. And she was like, oh, it just looks like a van at the moment, when she had a look inside, and I was thinking, all the work I've done and you can't even tell. The amount of just stuffing insulation into small spaces and doing this carpety stuff, which I have not had very much fun doing, especially the stuff along the top. I just knackered my neck being in like this position all the time trying to do it. So yeah, it's all the stuff that once everything else is in, no one's even going to notice. But it's just taken me so long. The other thing I've done is popped some battens into the kind of window cavity on the opposite side of this, because at some point I will be putting a shelf up, so I needed the battens up before the wall, but then because the weather wasn't great I couldn't use glue because it was not sticking to the metal because it was a bit too chilly and a bit too damp in the air as well. And I've used, I will show you a bit of video of them, and bear in mind that they're not going to be seen, they're just there to support a shelf, but I've used like multiple bits of wood because the pan kind of changed from what I'd originally bought to go in there. So instead of buying more wood, I've just kind of glued and screwed multiple bits together, so it looks messy but no one's ever going to see it, and once there's a shelf up and a wall up and then a shelf up, no one will know. I really just want to get my walls up at this point, so I'm going to stop nattering, try and get the last bit of sanding done on this one. I don't want to mess with the other side yet because I don't want to knock something that I've just glued out of place, but I'll try that one maybe in another couple of hours once this one's done, and by then it'll be time for lunch, and then hopefully I'll get a coat of primer on them this afternoon. Wish me luck. And I think it might be starting to rain again, which is just what I need. I tried to go as eco and lung friendly as possible with the paints I've used. The ones for the walls came from Celtic Sustainables, where I also bought my insulation. Living in such a small space, I think it's really important to think about what materials you use in terms of what you're going to be breathing in every night. thanks for watching everyone. I'll be back with more van build content soon. In the meantime, please like, subscribe and all that stuff that makes me smile.